These people came close to joining the long list of cancelled celebrities, but missed it by that much. Welcome to Beyond the Screen, I'm Nate, and these are the top 10 celebrity film roles that almost got them cancelled. Number 10. Johnny Depp in The Lone Ranger. Johnny Depp and Disney have had a long and fruitful relationship together. Between 2005 and 2015, Johnny Depp was Disney's go-to boy when they needed a character to be played and to be iconic. In 2013, he took on the role of playing a character named Tonto, a Native American man who acts as the sidekick to the titular Lone Ranger. The first issue people had with this project was of course Johnny not being a Native American man. The second was the portrayal of his character. In the film, Tonto spends a large portion of the movie sporting a rather lifelike bird on his head, which many found to be making fun of traditional headdresses. When the backlash began to plague the film, the director and Johnny spoke out in defense of the project. According to Johnny, he did not want to play the same character from the original TV series, rather develop his own take on the classic character. The headdress is adorned with a real dead bird because his version of Tonto is known to be an eccentric and strange man, claiming that this was a character choice to show how wild that he was. The film was released and it was a massive flop at the box office, but it seems that it wasn't Johnny's performance, as he continued to work well after that, right up until his ex said that he went poo-poo into bed. Number 9. Benedict Cumberbatch in Zoolander 2. Benedict may be well known for playing iconic characters like Sherlock Holmes or Doctor Strange, but in 2016 he decided to make a cameo that was in poor taste, man. It was not a good choice. The popular and zany comedy flick Zoolander, starring Owen Wilson and Ben Stiller, received the sequel treatment 15 years after its initial release. The sequel followed Ben and Owen being pulled back into the model world, where they team up with Interpol after becoming the targets of a sinister plot. The film was not well received, but featured fun cameos from stars like Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, and Benedict Cumberbatch. Benedict's cameo was a bit different than everyone else's though. He played a character named All, a non-binary fashion model. For anyone who doesn't know, non-binary refers to someone who does not identify as male or female and usually uses the pronouns they, them. The film decided to just roast that concept over and over again instead of respecting everyone's choices to their identity. The writers decided to give Ben some very cringy and strange lines, and his choices as an actor were difficult to understand. He played the character as some kind of a magical, mystical figure, like being non-binary makes you a wizard or something. He received massive backlash and was almost cancelled, but thankfully his role was overshadowed by the general trash of the project, and he starred in Doctor Strange for the first time, so everyone just kind of forgot that this happened and moved on. Number 8. Eddie Redmayne in The Danish Girl. Eddie has had a few regrets over his career, but today we're talking about the one that almost got him canned from Hollywood forever. In 2015, Eddie starred in the film The Danish Girl, portraying the character Lily Elby, considered to be a pioneer among the LGBTQ+ community, as the first woman to ever receive a gender-changing operation. The film received critical acclaim and was nominated for several Oscars. However, the audience reaction was just a bit different. Many viewers took issue with the fact that Eddie is not a trans woman, believing that the role should have gone to someone that identifies as such. Redmayne delivered an incredible performance according to his co-stars, but the cast and crew understood why there was so much backlash towards his character. In fact, Eddie himself spoke about the situation not long after the Oscar ceremony and claimed that this project was a mistake. He made the film with the best intentions, but in retrospect he probably should have passed on this one. Thankfully, due to the crew and cast acknowledging these issues, Eddie's career remained uncancelled. Number 7. Scarlett Johansson in Ghost in the Shell. Ghost in the Shell was a 2017 live-action movie based on the popular anime film of the same name. The film starred Scarlett Johansson in the leading role of Motoko Kusanagi, a Japanese woman. Hang on, that can't be right. Oh yeah, no, that is. Okay. The character Scarlett is based on was originally voiced by a Japanese woman and of course was drawn as such, so when it was announced that Scarlett would be the lead, fans immediately flooded the movie with backlash. It wasn't just Scarlett though. Once again, Hollywood was taking a Japanese property and neglecting to cast almost any Japanese actors in significant roles. Despite the massive backlash and whitewashing on Hollywood's part, the film was released and it went about as well as you would expect. The movie itself was not great. It had some terrible CGI, the performances just felt wrong on all counts, and it just overall made people want to walk into the projection booth truth and throw on the original 1995 movie instead. In fact, this film received so much hatred that Scarlett was forced to drop out of another project where she was set to play a trans character for the fear that one more bad decision would land her on Hollywood's cancelled list. Thankfully, there have only been a handful of live-action anime movies since 2017, but it's looking like Netflix might be on track to change that pretty soon. Number 6. Jake Gyllenhaal in The Prince of Persia. Jake has worked with Disney on several projects over the years in everything from Bubble Boy to Spider-Man Far From Home. He's been a consistently solid performer with only one little blemish on his record. Jake was cast to portray the titular Prince of Persia in a 2010 live-action movie based on the 1989 platformer of the same name. In case the title didn't give it away, the prince is meant to be a Persian man, which Jake is not. The casting department decided to remedy this situation by simply darkening his skin a little bit and giving him a beard. Like, come on, Disney, was there nobody else you could think of? Like, I love Jake Gyllenhaal as much as the next guy. This man is the chaotic good that we all need in our lives. But like, nobody looked at him on the shoot day and went, something doesn't feel right about this, guys. Disney was hoping the film was going to launch a new franchise in the vein of Pirates of the Caribbean, but it ended up costing the studio millions of dollars and almost cost Jake his career. Thankfully, he came out and apologized for taking on the role. He was just a fan of the original games and was excited to play the character. So, cancellation diverted. Number 5. James Corden in The Prom. The former Late Late host has branched off into movie roles a few times, starring in projects like Into the Woods and Cats. In 2020, he snagged the part of Barry Glickman in the musical The Prom, playing a character who is openly gay and playing the character with every single stereotype imaginable. As a straight man, many people were calling him out for his eccentric, over-the-top portrayal of a gay man. It would be one thing if he was consistently flamboyant, but he seems to pick and choose which moments to be more outgoing and which moments to dial back. According to critics of the film, James was the most offensive and horrifically bad part of this movie. Following the release of the project on streamers, his fate was almost sealed entirely. In fact, James is one of the few people on this list who actually were cancelled for being so bad and offensive in their role. With his late night show being taken off the air and him currently sitting at home wondering when that next gig is gonna come. Number 4. Sacha Baron Cohen in Borat 2. Borat was released in 2016, and in case you haven't seen it, here's a brief summary. Jesus. Kazakh TV host Borat is dispatched to the United States to report on the greatest country in the world. The film was shot as a documentary/hidden camera style show. Anyone involved in interviews or one-on-one moments didn't actually know that Borat was a fictional character. While initially the film received massive backlash, particularly from the people of Kazakhstan, it's since been praised as a comedy cult classic and for bringing the tourism industry back to the country of Kazakhstan. Now, it's no surprise that a sequel was eventually made, and while it took a few years, Amazon stepped up and dropped Borat's subsequent movie film in 2020. The sequel was just as fun as the first one, only this time the crude humor was amped up to 1,000,000. Seriously, if you are squeamish at all, do not watch this movie. However, Sacha was almost cancelled by a group of personal pew-pew activists in Washington. During a segment, Sacha is pretending to be a country musician at a rally when he starts singing something that I can't repeat because the same thing might happen to me. Basically, he was for everything that these people were against. So, guess what happened? Guess what? They aimed at him. That's right, a crowd of people just turned on him and he was forced to hide in an ambulance, where he stayed for almost half an hour before finally being able to pull out. Thankfully, nothing bad happened and he was safe and sound. Now, I know that had nothing to do with him actually being like canceled, but it's a neat story, and thanks to YouTube, being canceled can mean a lot of things that I would need to bleep out. Number 3. Tilda Swinton in Doctor Strange. The Ancient One is a Marvel Comics character who first debuted in 1963. Now, if you are not someone who reads comics, then you probably didn't notice or care about this one, but unfortunately Marvel fans are loud and love to be right. The character was drawn as an old Asian man with a big white beard and continued to maintain that appearance for a very long time. Until 2017, when Tilda Swinton was casted to play the live-action version in Doctor Strange. Her version was bald and, according to the director, Celtic in origin. When the news of her casting was announced, many hardcore Marvelians were quick to claim whitewashing on Marvel's part. In fact, the hate was so hardcore hardcore that there was an online petition going around getting signatures of people who planned to bog down the reviews with purposefully bad scores, which would have just made this movie look terrible. However, Marvel actually listened to their fans, and CEO Kevin Feige released a statement claiming that Marvel had no ill intentions when casting Tilda and now realized that they handled the casting poorly. Tilda herself praised Marvel for speaking up and acknowledging their mistake while simultaneously apologizing for her part in the controversy. It seems that when you fess up to something and apologize properly, that the world forgives you. The film released and fans were pleasantly surprised with her performance. While still not a great move on Marvel's part, her character has only appeared in 2 movies so far, and the controversy seems to have died down. Number 2, Daniel Craig in James Bond. He likes some shaking, not stirred. Daniel has been playing the super spy since 2006's Casino Royale and has appeared in 5 movies, with his most recent flick being delayed and eventually released in 2021. Daniel may be loved by fans now, but when the news first broke, fans were extremely disappointed. And it was all due to his physical stature, of course. Many fans of the original series claimed that Daniel was too short and that James didn't have blonde hair, while others were simply just nervous about his ability to carry an action sequence. Greg was upset with the fans, but he admitted that there wasn't much that he could do apart from deliver a stellar performance. The public outcry at the time was so loud that the studios were extremely nervous about the ticket sales, but thankfully their nerves were calmed after the first 10 minutes of the movie, when it was obvious that Daniel was about to be the James Bond for a very long time. With the 5th entry rumored to be his last, who knows who the next James Bond might be? My vote is Seth Rogen. Number 1, Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder. Alright, here is an example of a man who did something terrible in a movie, but once people found out why, it was all chill. For those who have not seen this movie, I recommend it to anyone that is a fan of outrageous and raunchy comedies. This is not a family movie. Good lord, this is not a family movie. Directed by and starring Ben Stiller, the movie followed a fictional film crew attempting to make a gritty war movie, but they're accidentally dropped into the middle of an actual conflict in Vietnam. The cast was stellar. It included the likes of Jack Black, Jay Baruchel, Tom Cruise, and of course Robert Downey Jr. Now, Robert played a character named Kirk Lazarus, who is a 5-time Oscar-winning Australian method actor who gets casted as an African-American staff sergeant named Lincoln Osiris. You see where this is going? Kirk undergoes a controversial pigmentation alteration procedure to darken his skin, something that he intends to stick with until after he has done the DVD commentary. Now, when the trailer was released and RDJ was spotted in blackface, it was no surprise that people were extremely confused and a little bit angry, like, were we about to cancel Robert right when he started playing Iron Man? Well, despite the backlash and the initial shock, once people saw the movie, the message was very clear. Robert wasn't playing himself putting on the face, but rather playing an actor who chose to put on the face, being a decision that his character made and not himself. The bit is actually addressed several times by the only black lead of the film, Brandon T. Jackson, and in the end, Kirk realizes what he's doing is super offensive, and he doesn't need to pretend to be someone that he's not just to be a good actor. The movie was meant to be a parody of Hollywood, and in the end, fans really just enjoyed the movie so much that the backlash died down basically immediately. And those are the top 10 celebrities who almost got canceled thanks to a film rule. Did we miss any good stories? Let us know in the comments below. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you. A gold star is on its way to your house. Make sure you stick it somewhere important. Leave a like on this video if you had fun, and keep coming back for more celebrity content. Thanks for stopping beyond the screen, and we'll see you next time.